Hi everyone, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and this is the first video I'm recording since I got back from vacation. I was inspired by a Twitter conversation with Random Factor and Flip Flip Bang Bang to talk about Windblade. Flip Flip Bang Bang was asking about a Windblade toy, kind of which one to pick up. They were tempted to pick up a Windblade toy. And I had three out of, I think, the 4 different molds of Windblade that exist, so I figured I'd just give my recommendations. What we have in front of us, this is a Legends LG whatever Windblade that came out in 2015 based on the original toy. I mean, the Combiner Wars toy that came out. This is the original Windblade that came out in Japan. Then we have also, I think in 2015, maybe 2016, the Fortress Maximus Titan Force Windblade. This one is in the Fortress Maximus color scheme, and she is the RID 2015 mold. And then I do have with me the Titan's Return Windblade. This one for me is actually supposed to be a custom eventually. I have this tag on her. I was inspired by Windblade originally being Metroplex's partner, then the Fort Max colors. I was like, oh, maybe I should do her in Brave Max to match my custom Brave Max. But let's go right in on the toys. The one I'm missing is the Cyberverse Windblade, the Warrior class Windblade. I don't know that I'll be picking that one up. I think there's not enough there that makes her unique and interesting for me to check out. So these 3 are my Windblades. So we'll start with the not quite original, but original in Japan. And the difference between this Windblade and the Combiner Wars Windblade is really just the paint. We have this lovely white paint scheme here, kind of reminiscent of some sort of bird of prey. She's got a lot more red on her. I believe the Combiner Wars figure, this was a lot more black. I'll throw a picture up so we can compare between the two. This is kind of what the Combiner Wars figure looked like, and then here is the Legends Windblade. And yeah, in plain mode, she is a bit fiddly. Her tabs and stuff, this was a complaint a lot of people had of the original figure, to make her match the robot silhouette that she needed to have. She is a very thin plane, she's gappy in some areas. But just being the first Windblade that came out, I knew I had to have her, and I love the robot color scheme. Next, we've got the RID 2015 Windblade, and we can see just in terms of like overall silhouette and shape, she's a bit chunkier in the plant. I actually kind of like that. I like that she's a little more smooth in certain areas. Just a different sort of VTOL. Both Windblades can move their fans. This Windblade, of course, can actually rotate her fans in addition to moving the VTOLs, which I think is really, really neat. The other 2 are set in place. I don't think there's any movement going on in there. Maybe there could be just... Let's see if we... Oh yeah, no, she can move. She can move her blades also. But they're nice silver paint. I don't want to scratch them or anything. Other than that, like the first Windblade, they both carry their swords kind of underneath them. This Windblade is not as well integrated into the robot mode. But her robot mode, I think, is just a little more solid, a little less gappy. And then, of course, Titan's Return Windblade. Here, no movement on the fans. We do have VTOL. We also have proper landing gear. This Windblade, I believe, is a retool, a really heavy retool of Cyclonus. If I'm getting that right, I'll fact check myself. But yeah, again, this one is an American release of the figure that does have a lot of that red plastic. Now here they use black paint to pick her out, whereas the original Combiner Wars Windblade was a black figure with red paint on her. Other than that, you know, she looks great. You can kind of see the robot mode hanging underneath, but overall I think she looks lovely, and she does come with a little Titan Master. Let's see if we can get in close there. Not a lot to pick out here. She does have a tiny little Windblade face, if the camera can get that. And then, of course, her Titan Master does turn into a lovely little Windblade. And here I was surprised. I'll show a picture of what the Combiner Wars Windblade face looked like. It seemed like in America we were going for a much more like a metallic robot-y color, but they went for the Japanese white, I forget the name of the type of warrior she is, but that type of war paint, which was kind of cool. All right, now we can do a quick transformation. So going back to Combiner Wars Windblade, we are going to take the sword out. It pegs in 2 spots. We can just remove that. Then let me see if I can remember, because this is actually the first time I'm doing it since I grabbed this figure after vacation. Unplug her wings, and these assemblies can move up and out of the way. Then we can come in and her legs stretch out on a Z-joint. Here and... oh no, they don't. I was totally wrong. Her legs just bend at the knees and the shin comes out on a Z-joint. And here's my biggest complaint of this Windblade figure. I've thickened up her heel, but as you can see, it's already kind of popping off. You can also rotate things 180 on her ankle, and that kind of gives her her high heel. But that is, we'll see, it's not sturdy at all, really, which is unfortunate. Same thing on the other side. Bring that down. Now coming up top, bring down the cockpit of her plane, which does have, I didn't mention it, does have a landing gear. Come in to the other side of her robot mode. We can flip her waist around 180, open up her robot mode chest, and pop out her head. And again, since this is the LGEX figure of Windblade, we do get that lovely, lovely head sculpt, which I'll do a comparison between the 3. And yeah, that's the transformation. We can kind of get the wings out away from her. Oop. See if we can just get her standing, which might prove really hard because as we can see, these heels already collapsed on me. And this is, like, I'll admit I need this Windblade to be a part of my collection because she's the first one, but, oh, she does have a lovely sword. I can't, we'll get into my recommendations if you're trying to pick up a Windblade figure. And she can hold her sheath like so. All right. Oh, I just futzed with her. I'm probably not going to edit this out either. Like this is part of the experience with the figure. You got to kind of be delicate with that Windblade. All right, now Titan Force Windblade. Again, we remove her her sheath, her scabbard. She does have, I believe. Maybe she no, she does. She's got her own landing gear, which, just due to the plastic, is really hard to get out. Let me see if I can... there we go. So she does have landing gear if you want to use it. Other than that, the transformation, since it's based on an RID figure, is simpler. Flip her cockpit around behind her. Come in and flip out, disconnect the tail of the plane, and flip out her legs, which flip out on Z-joints. I think I knocked the camera, which is unfortunate. Flip around. Now let me see if I remember. Flip around this way, her legs. Same thing on this side. That's probably a terrible view. Sorry about that. Flip that around. And now we can flip her whole waist around again. Kind of similar to the Combiner Wars Windblade. Get her wings where you would like them. Her tail wing can fold up. There we go. And she does, because this is one piece of molded plastic on the toe and heel, her legs are way sturdier than the other Windblade. And then we can also pull out her sword, which is a lovely silver paint color. Give that to her. And I'm going to peg this scabbard behind her. That is Windblade number 2 done. All right, now Titan's Return Windblade. We take out her head. We, again, similar transformation, fold in her landing gear. Flip back the cockpit. Flip out the legs, which is interesting to me that they... I mean, not interesting. It's clever of them to have picked a figure to remold from that is so similar in transformation to the previous Windblade transformations. We collapse her hips up. No need to spin anything around this time. So this one's actually a little simpler than the other two. Her arms come out. And I believe she doesn't have a sword. I'll have to double check to make sure I'm not just missing a sword. But her shoulders come up. And there we are. That is Titan's Return Windblade. So here we can see, well, we'll get them closer. We can get them just a little closer. Here we can see our three Windblades next to each other. The biggest difference is, I mean, in articulation, each one of them has good articulation in the head. Each one of them has ball joints in the arms. No difference there. Each one of them has a bicep swivel of some sort. It really comes down to, and same thing with the thighs. Our feet are a little articulated a little differently. Titan's Return Windblade has toes. RID Windblade doesn't really have toes. She has just a heel movement that you can use. And then Combiner Wars Windblade has toes and a heel. But of course, she is the least stable of the three. They were done in a couple different colors. Like I mentioned, there's the... yeah, see, those heels love to collapse. The original Windblade mold came out in Combiner Wars, a little more black, less red than the Legends toy. If you were picking up a Windblade and you really wanted the first mold, I'd definitely recommend this version. There is also a Combiner Hunter's Windblade, which is a repaint of this in gold. If you want traditional Windblade colors, this mold absolutely comes in them. Titan's Return Windblade, I believe, just came out as this since it was remolded from something else. But yeah, that's the three Windblades. My personal recommendation to anyone, and we're going to let her fall because she can't stand. This is a problem. And this, if I wasn't so excited about getting the first fan-voted character, would have probably prevented me from picking it up. If you want a Windblade, a good Windblade, I think, unless you really like the Titan's Return gimmick, which I do like, I think the RID 2015 mold is the way to go. Get it in any flavor you want. The one thing I guess this figure can do that the other two can't is she does, the fan on the back of her head does detach, like so, which is kind of a neat gimmick. But other than being the first toy, I think this Windblade is the really cool one, and I love these colors on her also. I forgot to do my look at their heads. So all three are painted lovely. But in terms of facial design, I kind of like the RID no nose design for her. I think that looks awesome. And then I think there's nothing wrong with the Titan's Return head. It does make her kind of look like she has a small head compared to the rest of her body. I think that was a problem in the Titan's Return line just because their faces were small compared to like the rest of the bulk the head has to carry. But yeah, that is Windblade. A quick look at my Windblades and the one I recommend. I think Flip Flip Bang Bang ended up getting this exact Windblade toy, which is kind of funny and exciting. Mine, you can see I did break her thumb, unfortunately. I might be replacing that at some point. I am excited to see new Windblade stuff. Maybe we get an Earthrise Windblade because the Siege and Earthrise figures look amazing. I'd love to get another shot at her. But other than that, that's all I've got. That's a quick look at 3 of the Windblade options. I guess 4. We'll throw up Cyberverse Windblade real quick. It looks fine. I won't recommend it. There we go. All the Windblade options. Now I can call this video something a pun about all the Windblades. Have a great day, everyone. See ya.